Good afternoon. I'm Paul Gilgee, and I'm very happy to have all of you here today. We've got about 25 of you present, representing a whole host of different families, including at least one gentleman from Norway is on. Arna, welcome to Arna. He's very faithful. Good to have you on, Arna. And representatives of the various families. In fact, let me put something on the screen for us on that so that you can see who we hope we're representing today. So if you take a look at this, we've got the various families listed. TK and Turi Bakken. I think we've got Bernie and Sharon. Anybody else? Bernie Haraldson and Sharon. Okay. Andrew and Emma Beaver. I know we have Mike Oysteth and Mike Beaver. Others from there yet?
Randy is
Randy
connected to the Beavers, but
that's right.
we don't have his.
We have at least three there, and Randy usually has his wife on as well. I don't know if she's on yet. And the
He's having breakfast.
LaSalle County. Anybody from there yet? That's not. I would be very honored if we could get somebody from there today. Gail Jackson Steele is the most likely one. The Rasmus was a brother of Andrew and Paul Tosted. That's the connection there. The Colbinson Fiskogen, we have good representation there. Candace and Heather and Gloria, and of course I'm part of that as well. Enoch and Ann, we have Frederica and Paul, and let's see who else representing the Enoch and Ann Gilgee at this moment. Chris and Karina Gilgee from Cannon Falls is one I'd like to get us involved, and we haven't succeeded yet. I just was hoping for that today. Lars and Christina, we have Jeff Epping, and I think your sister is supposed to be on. Is that right?
Yeah, my sister Maria is supposed to be on, but we'll see.
And then Moritz and Christy, I don't know yet if Matt is on or Michael. We'll see. Tor and Hannah, they're in Norway. We haven't got connections there. Torvald and Ragna, we have. I don't know if we have anybody yet on that. Don or Sue. Thorson and Mary, we have Kurt Gilgee. And I think Rocky's with you, Kurt. Is that right?
Yes, she is.
Okay. Bellis and Julia, we have Jane Clements and Catherine Gilgee. Yeah. Knut and Ingeborg, we have Joe and Carolyn Martinetti. Anybody else yet from that family?
Not yet, no.
Okay. And Andrew and Anna Tosted, we have Wanda. Wanda, do you know if anybody else is on yet? And then Paul and Bessie Tosted.
I don't think so, Paul.
Pardon?
I don't think so.
Okay. Paul and Bessie Tosted, we have Peter Brandt and Paul Gilgee and Frederica, and I'm trying to think who else. Okay, well that's just to give you a look at who's part of what's here today.
There's also I'd like to mention Gloria and I are also descendants of Inger Fiskogen, who married Colvine Huslamo, and their three daughters moved to North Dakota.
Okay.
But if you look at the Colvine Fiskogen's children, Inga and John are both related to me since my great grandparents were first cousins. So I've got John and I've got Inga.
Oh, cool! That's great, Candace. So you're really a Fiskogen, aren't you? Just through and through.
Gloria and I are double.
All right. Okay. Well, let's just review here quickly before we get into the individual families' questions. First, number one, my son Mark had agreed to sort of head up any kind of effort that might be desirable for a tour to be undertaken in Norway in 2025 by people who would like to, anticipating the reunion in 2026, to visit the various locations in Norway, such as Vala and Bikla and Sund and Soldos Olsen and Tasta and Gilia. And so I'm curious how any of you right here on the phone now have any thoughts about the possibility of, and whether you would be yourselves interested in any kind of tour to Norway next year.
You have any?
Gloria and I did that trip last summer,
Okay,
from
all right.
Kristiansand to Stavanger, stopping in Bykla and Suldal and all
Good,
those
good.
areas.
Well, Mark is going to be sending a note out to all the folks in our mailing list. And so he'll be asking people about, he just wanted me to tell you that that note is going to be sent out. And he wanted me to tell you about that, because we've got a pretty substantial mailing list on our list. This is just to give you an idea of the people that are on the list. Pretty substantial mailing list. We'd like to have more, by the way. Anyway, we'd like to find out if there is any interest, because if there's not, it's probably not worthwhile doing it. But Mark's sent a questionnaire around, so you should be expecting to get that in the mail. And when you do, then you can respond about any likelihood of yourself participating. And in that connection, Murray, I'd like to get your email address, and Gloria, get yours. I think everybody else on the list here today, I've got Lori. I don't have yours, I don't think, or do I? Anyway, get whatever, if you've got family members that should be getting that invitation, or not, it's not really an invitation, it's really just a request to understand whether you've got an interest in participating. So that's what I wanted to get out of the way right at the outset today. Now, number two is, by the way, before I get further on that, any questions about the question about a tour of Norway, whether that makes sense to you without any commitment on your parts, or is that going to be something that kind of is a little too extra?
Paul, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Somebody,
Yeah, it's Jeff here.
Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, I come from a large family. There's 8 kids, 8 siblings. There's keen interest in going among my family members. Who actually goes in the end is probably a different story, but I think there's keen interest. So
I would agree on that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll send the note out and see what kind of response we get, and then make our plans accordingly.
And what was the time, Paul?
Yeah, Mike.
What was the time frame again? I'm sorry.
It'll take place sometime in 2025, and the question next year, whether it would be early summer, midsummer, late summer, early fall, whatever, whatever. But
But tends to be summer is what you're saying. Yep.
the risks of a formal,
Hey, Paul,
yeah,
for those of us who recently went, we may have some contacts for those who are interested in going.
excellent point. Yes, yeah. I'll make Mark's email will be on that on the invitation, or on the survey, and you'll be able to get some feel there. Hey, Peter.
Hello.
Good to see you, young man.
Yeah, right. I wish I was young.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Okay. I see that many of you are voluntarily muted, so anytime you want to chat, please do so, because we want to have freedom of talk at any time. And so long as nobody's running the dishwasher in the same room, it should not be much of a problem. Now back on our overall picture, as most, if not all of you know, we picked a time to have a reunion in Rolette County, North Dakota, to honor the memory of the immigrants for 2026, not for any exclusive reason or anything like that. It just is sort of coincidental with the fact that a 50-year time capsule is going to be opened at that time in a cemetery that has a lot of the family members that are on this call here today and in the total list. So that's what that's all about. And so we're going to try and prepare ourselves for that reunion by being as liberal as we can with information about the families. And that's kind of what we've been up to so far. Number one, we thought it would be helpful if people got a good orientation to the history of North Dakota, the history of Rolette County, and the history of immigration. So the various sessions we've been holding to date are on that topic. And as most of you know, those are all available on YouTube without any problem. We give you the report every once in a while as to how to get to it. So that's what's been going on. Now, between now and the summer of 2026, one more point on that. The date of the reunion in 2026 has been assigned to two people, Brenda Gilgee and Carla Myrie, both of whom have very strong connections with Rolette, and they are checking with the local people and checking with the other celebrations in 2026. My guess is that something like the third or the fourth weekend in July is most likely at this moment, but not definite. So keep your eyes open for when it takes place. Between now and 2026, then, hi, Terria, welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Another guy from Gilead. We got two people, at least two this afternoon from Norway. Terria Gilead, who can trace his family to Moen and to Torsen and Knut Moen and that family, and Martinetti. So he's connected to Martinetti's, and then Arna Österbo. Arna is connected to me on the Gilead side. So welcome to the two of you and others. Anyway, between now and the summer of 2026, we'd like to focus as much as we can on the individual families that each of you represents. And in the process, try and give us a good background on the nature of the immigrants, where they lived, how they came here, what's happened to some of their descendants, and anything each of you would like to share. Now, I don't know how many times people have told me, don't ask me, Paul. I can't hardly remember grandma or grandpa or great-grandma or great-grandpa. And I want to just tell you that keep your minds open. You'll never be able to anticipate, or some recollection will come to you when another relative says, yes, I remember that. So what we hope to do is focus a given Zoom session on an individual family. And as of right now, we have one family already committed for March, and that's Larson Christina Gilgee, and Jeff Epping is heading that up. Jeff, have you any comments on the plans for that one in March? You want to unmute, Jeff? Did you sneak away to look at
my sister's heading that up, but I think in general we've got it in hand. I know she's been working on it for, well, actually I've reviewed it, and
well, that's good. That's good. And then I know that Wanda, you and I have talked about Andrew and Anna Tosted and plans for that one. Do you have an idea yet when you think your family could be focused? How soon?
I could get plugged in anywhere. I've started it. I'm not complete, but wherever you need to plug me in, I'd be okay.
Well, let's why not try it for next month, Wanda? February.
Okay.
So we'll have February for Andrew and Anna Tosted, and then March for Larson Christina Gilgee. That will get us off to a very good start, and then we can, as we visit today, each of you in the different families that are represented here can do some thinking about when you think you'd like to participate. Some people are going to say, oh, Paul, don't have any kind of background. I'm so limited. We've been doing a little work on each of these and have some work done already. So you're not going to be all by yourself by any means. I think you're going to find quite a bit of stuff is available, and we'll do all we can to help you. Now, in connection with help, Um, yes, go ahead. Somebody thought was interrupting.
Is
Maybe-
there, I have a question. Is it possible to tell us these families you're talking about? Because I don't know any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look at Colbine Fiskichin, who was,
How in the world are we related? How are you related to them? That
right,
question.
like, which ones are Britta, which ones
Yeah.
are John Anger, whatever, who,
That's very relevant. And Candace, we will definitely do that. And what you're saying is going to be critical because the connections are a lot broader than many of us realize. For example, the Colbinson bunch has my great grandmother, Britta, and Britta had 3 daughters, all of whom married folks in the Rolette area. And the descendants of those 3 daughters are all part of our activity here. So when we deal with John Fiskichin, we're also dealing with Paul and Andrew Paul and Bessie Tosted, and with T.K. Bakken and Turi Bakken and Peter and Margaret Gilgee. So there's 3 other families here are connected through the Fiskichin. So that's how we'll try to explain that at the time we're dealing with each family. Good point, Candace. Thank you.
Paul, I would mention that Anna Tosted was a beaver.
Yes, that's correct. And so there we can extend it all over to beavers. That's right. I was just trying to clarify at that moment just to the connection on the other side. But Mike is pointing out here very legitimately that the beavers and the Tosteds are connected through Anna Beaver. Yes, very good. Thank you.
Speaking of which, Mike
Yes, Randy.
Oyseth and Mike Beaver. Yeah, I would like to volunteer Mike Oyseth and Mike Beaver. Perhaps we could do the Beavers in May. Would that be possible?
Absolutely. May, we'll put down May for beavers. Yes.
Would you, Mike's?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Are the beavers coming out of hibernation along about May?
Paul,
Yeah.
I think that some of the work that I've been doing now for some months could be relevant here too, to as kind of an overview, or at some point, to look at the early Norwegian immigrant residents of Rolette who were here in the 1885 territorial census and the 1900 census, because I've gone through both of those censuses totally and found all the Norwegian immigrants among them, and have traced many of them back now to Norway and found when they came and so forth. So I mean that's sort of a piece
So
of,
you mean like a preliminary?
Yeah, I was wondering.
could be a preliminary, or it could be dovetailed in somewhere else. I'm not sure how quickly I can present it.
Mike, why don't you do something? Let me know when you feel you're ready to present. We'll hold a special meeting. There's no big deal.
Yeah, I think people might in the group here might be interested in what big picture was.
By the way, Michael is very, very conversant. He gave me a hint this past week, and with his hint, I went back and immediately saw the patents for the Rolette County, Leonard Township people, just like nobody's business. So he's got very good contacts. So Mike, why don't you do some thinking about how soon you think you can do that? We could fit you in between any of these, or if we have a month where nobody else is, we could do that. But I'd like to, unless let me just ask this: would you like to do that, Wanda? If we moved you to April, would that be a problem?
No, that'd be fine.
Okay, why don't we do this? Why don't let's move Wanda to April with Andrew Tosted, and Mike, you take the February session, 30 days hence. Would that work?
That's what I was concerned about, was being too early ahead of what I've got put together. I mean, I've done the research, but I need to find a way to present it that would be
All right.
effective. That can take a little
Are we moving
organizing.
too fast? Are we moving too fast for you then in taking that action?
Well, maybe so. I mean, I feel like could use a month and a half or two to be ready.
So April's open, Mike.
Well, yeah, April would, if we, but let's go back to Wanda, because Wanda was scheduled for February. She said she'd go to April. But Wanda, if you go back to February, then we could put Mike in April. Would that work?
That's fine with me.
Okay, so thank you for being so willing, Wanda. February.
Well, I
February-
figure if I kick it off, I won't set the bar too high and then other people will be less intimidated.
So toss it in February, Gilgy in March, and then Oisef in April. And then Beaver in May.
Perfect.
Okay, all right.
Are all those people descendants of Britta?
No,
No.
no, the Britta connection, thank you for asking that, Candace, is on the Paul Tosted side, not the Andrew Tosted side. Britta was the mother of Bessie Tosted, Paul's wife, but Bessie would have been the sister-in-law of Andrew and Anna Tosted. So but there's not a blood connection there. There's a in-law connection. That's the connection there. And then just to continue that though, as Mike Oiseth was pointing out, Anna Beaver by her brother or her husband Walter was a no, I mean
Vernon.
not Walter. Paul, please forgive me. Vernon Tosted was a part of the Fiskogen clan, and so Vernon connects into the Beavers through Vernon and his wife Anna, who was a Beaver. This is great to have this interchange discussion. So again, yes, go ahead.
One other thing, I was just thinking here that anybody in the group here, I would be very interested in hearing from them if they have curiosity about what I might have found about any of their ancestors who were here in Rolette in 1885 or in 1900.
Wonderful. Should we, let's make sure we put
People
that
could
in.
contact me and then, I could share with them what I've already found, but they may know 10 times what I know, certainly, but
Mike, we'll
might
get
as well open it up for sharing.
we'll give your email address to others, but why don't you give it to them orally right now?
Okay, it's Oiseth, OISETHMO, oisethmo@gmail.com.
We'll get that in print as well on our next notice.
You might drop it in the chat or the Q&A, Michael, and that way everybody can pick it right up.
Okay.
Good, Jeff. Jeff is computer literate against me, so way to go, Jeff. Where did you
Oh,
put it?
it's years of banging my head against the wall.
Okay, all right. Now let's keep going here. In terms of the content of these family presentations and how that content is presented, I'm a little bit reluctant to share. Oh, there's Michael Oiseth to everybody. My email, Mike Oiseth, oisethmo@gmail.com. See that, everybody? Okay. As we get into this, the whole concept of showing illustrations on the screen is helpful. I somewhat hesitate to, because I don't think I'm qualified to say this is great presentation, but we stand ready to be corrected, but it'll give you a little help to see to see what, at least one effort preliminarily. It's definitely not done at this moment, and will be subject to change as time goes by. But let's just yeah, go ahead. Who's talking? I thought I heard somebody. Here, let me just run through one that would give you some idea. And these are not difficult to put together. If you have the material, we can help you with it. But this is for Enoch and Ann Gilgia, and this is very preliminary. I extend to change it, but it'll give you some idea. This is the valley that they came from in Norway, and right down here is in this area here is where the home was, and this.
We're not seeing it,
Yeah,
Paul.
we're not seeing it, Paul.
You're not seeing
On
it?
your screen.
No,
Huh? Oh, hold it. I see why.
I see it live.
I'm very selfish here. Okay, how's that?
Coming.
Can you see that?
No.
not quite yet.
No.
Not yet.
It's starting.
That
So we don't have the screen sharing is not working at this moment.
It says it started.
Turn it
The
off.
message is
Try
that it
turning on
started.
again, Paul.
Pardon?
Try turning it off and turning it on again.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Still no good?
There we
There
go.
we go.
There we go.
Okay. All right. This is
Yeah.
the Gilgia area of Norway outside of Stavanger, and right along this road here is where my grandparents were both born. And just for a little thing that we wouldn't naturally say and would say today too, they were born in the same house. The families lived across the street from each other, and they exchanged houses at a certain time. And that whole process, they were born 8 years apart, but they ended up living in the same house at one time or another. And this is the house there. Let's see now. There, that's the house that they lived in. That house no longer exists, but a new one was built within the last 25 years, and it has the octagonal windows that were here and here in that window house today. This is a picture taken in about 1910 that shows where the farm was in Norway. This is 1980 today, the same area. This is the church that they went to. This is my grandparents, and this is her parents, and then these are his parents. So these are my great grandparents. By the way, just as an aside, that's unfortunate. I'm gonna stop talking about myself here. Sorry, too much to tell. Here's another example of something you can include: the birth certificate or baptismal certificate of immigrants. Then this is the immigrants in their first home, and this is Enoch Gilgia. This is Anna Gilgia, Lars's sister, and their kids as of about 1904. This is their home in North Dakota. This house has now been burned down, and another house has been built by a great grandson of theirs. This is the farm that used to be before this house was torn down. Here's the map of the area, and this is, you can see there's A.O. Beaver's land, Andrew Beaver there, and then Paul Tosted there, and Lars Gilgia there, Enoch Gilgia here, Peter Gilgia over there. So you can see in a fairly compact area of Leonard Township in Rolette County, they originally homesteaded, and T.K. Bakken actually homesteaded this area right here first, but then later moved up to the township right north of it. This is a school that some of the kids attended. We don't know for sure who they all are, but I think the eldest son of Enoch and Ann is the tall one standing behind there. This was just another example of a gathering of early relatives. This is again the same picture of Enoch and Ann as we have. This then is a high school picture of one of their kids. Another high school picture. Another picture. So you got that. This is kind of interesting, and Frederica would love this too. My dear brother Chuck just passed away last month.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I haven't seen that one before.
Oh, you haven't seen that one before?
No.
It's
The first
taken in 1948, Frederica, I think. And
Okay.
the Peace Garden, and these are Selma and Marie and Anna and Emma, the children and daughter-in-law of Enoch and Ann. And we were at the party at the Peace Garden, and I remember Chuck got up, decided to have his picture taken too.
Yeah.
This is another one of the ancestors. These are the eldest, Torsen and Alec and Stanley, and then this happens to be my son, Mark. This is a farm, and one can see this, and you'll see this in other cases of the great value of the shelter belts. And there's another picture. So this is just a start to illustrate a little bit of what you can have done. And each of you, as you're preparing your own, if you know how to do that, you can do it a heck of a lot better than I did. But if you want help in that area, we'll give the help to you. I have done some work in working on other family things like Larson Christina. I don't know, Jeff, how much you've got, but here's Larson Christina. Just a very, very brief amount of theirs, but you could either expand that or throw it away. So it's there for help. And Wanda, I also prepared one for Andrew and Anna Tosted. And if you want to use that one, you can. You probably got a heck of a lot more than I have. But anyway, we stand available to help you in whatever way we can.
I think you sent that to me, Paul.
Pardon, Wanda?
I think you sent that to me.
I did send it to you. Okay.
But I've kind of thought of direction, so I think I'm good, and we'll include those things, but not use that.
Very good. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Hey, Paul,
Yeah, yeah.
couple comments.
Yeah, Bernie.
Everybody here and who's going to be involved in this, if they don't have it, should have that copy of that, the whole family branch genealogy that you sent me early in our contact. It's amazingly detailed. And if you are wondering, well, I don't even know who some of these relatives are, each family's broken down. And you see the descendants down to, it was updated in the 1980s. I mean, that's how I found out about Sharon. That's how I found out about another cousin, Christensen, I have in Bottineau. So if anybody doesn't have that, you have it, I know, on a PDF. You can send it to everybody. The last final comment, when I was looking at those photos, it reminded me every time I see photos from that era, I think the photographers must have all been trained to, just before they took the picture, they said, "Don't smile."
By the way, who has a theory on the absence of smiling? There is a pretty clear theory about that.
I've heard that because they had to hold the pose, that they didn't smile, so they'd be less apt to move during the photo taking.
Okay.
Or their teeth were rotten.
That could be.
Any other
I've
theory
heard,
on that?
Paul, I've heard they were just all unhappy.
But
they weren't losing.
the real question is, what were the condition of the teeth? Somebody said that the condition of the teeth was such that people did not smile. So anyway, we got plenty of theories about that.
Paul, would
Hey,
you
Paul,
send
quick
that to
question.
Sharon, that what Bernie was saying about? I don't have that. I would like that.
The book.
Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
go
it's
ahead, Jeff.
on the Roulette Reunion website. If I can find that
Yes,
URL, I'll
yes.
drop it in the chat.
Yes,
But it's on the Family Reunion website. You can download it.
yes, yeah.
Well, they've
Paul, quick
always
question.
had me kind of on the wrong trail there with all the stuff. So I never knew exactly what I was doing.
Jeff, why don't you repeat that and tell them how to get to that site?
Let me see if I can, during the session, if I can find it. It's been a little while since I've gone there, but give me a minute.
I could
attach
attach it. I could attach it to an email. It's another
You can do
possibility.
that.
I like
Keep the
your
garage open.
I like your suggestion because then it doesn't involve having to include the attachment, the full amount, just the link.
That'd be great.
Paul, quick question about your
Go
format.
ahead.
Your slideshow presentation on PowerPoint, I assume, we're trying to fit this within that hour window, right? So how many slides, that kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly, right. And Randy, as Wanda was pointing out too, do what you want to. This is purely friendly suggestion. It's not at all
Sure.
the way it has to be, not by any means.
Sure.
But that's right. I think, although if somebody wants to extend that beyond an hour, nobody's going to stop them. So they're pretty. Wanda, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I would just say a couple things that if people can have access to like Ancestry or something similar. I found it really interesting to find the ship's manifest of the ship that Andrew Tosted immigrated on.
Yes.
Because I always sort of wondered, how did he trek out on his own and so forth? Well, I found the names of some other people from Stavanger that came at the same time, and they all went to Hillsborough together. So I thought that was one interesting piece. Another thing that's really interesting to find is homestead papers. And I think you can do that online. I did it years ago, so I'm not sure exactly how to go about it right now. But in the homestead papers, it tells like how much land they cultivated each year, how much livestock they had, those kinds of things. So it's a real interesting piece if you can add that to what you've got.
Can we return to Mike Oyseth on that? Mike, you have provided us with some very real good help on the patents for homesteads. The homestead applications, are they also available?
The homestead files, I think you have to get through the National Archives. And it might take a while. You'd have to make your formal request and send some money or whatever they require. And then they will package up the papers in that file and send them to you. And I'm sure that it's probably very rich in interesting detail, but I haven't done it myself, actually. Haven't taken that step.
I'm very
There are also homestead files available from Canada, I believe, if anybody's family moved up there. Quite a few did.
I have gotten.
Go ahead, Wanda.
It's somebody else.
It was me. I have gotten homestead papers on all my ancestors, and that's probably some of the most interesting documents I have received. I did it many years ago and they came via paper, but I know now you have an option of getting a digital copy too. But it has, it's like a half-inch thick or more on each ancestor. Has a lot of information.
Now, I recall, Wanda, when I went to Washington in 1975, I went to the archives and got the homestead applications at that time for my ancestors, and sure I got it for both Andrew and Paul, and I lost them.
Oh,
I might have, I can't remember if what you got was stuff you got in handwritten form, Wanda?
Yes.
I think
I mean, it was,
I think I gave him a copy to you, and I mislaid him since then. So that's, but and in terms of getting that data as to where to turn, Mike, does the person just go online and put application for homestead, and they'll be able to direct you to the right place?
I probably did it 30 years ago, 20, 30
I'm
years.
asking Mike. Mike always said, Mike,
Well, they've upgraded that National Archives website over and over again, and I haven't been back to look at that particular part of it, but I'm sure there's some way to
so if anybody here,
put a question in there, request the information about how to get at those files, and you'll find something if you spend enough time.
Sure.
yeah.
Okay. Now, Wanda was just suggesting here a very smart thing, which was to the extent we can to get the ship manifest, which will be something very worthwhile sticking on your chart as you illustrate when they came. What other thoughts occur to people here as to the kind of information that you'd like to share and others might benefit from in terms of the various families?
Well, I will say that in my approach to the 1885 and the 1900 residents of Rolette, that I wanted to know, of course, where they came from in Norway, and when they immigrated, and then any previous locations in the U.S. they might have lived at, because many who came to Rolette had already lived elsewhere in neighboring states, or they didn't come direct. Some did come direct later too, especially those that had relatives then that already had a foothold in the US, but many had come. Well, from my research, I found some from Illinois as early as that, which was, the settlements in New York, Illinois started about in the late 1830s. Then Wisconsin and
Mike is just, I don't want to interrupt you, Mike, but Mike is just saying that one of the characteristics would be to chart where the immigrants came from, not only the country, but the other parts of the US before they got here. What other information then, in addition to that, are you folks thinking would be interesting to convey to us, to our readers, as we plan these sessions?
Well, I think another thing is any information you might know about who they traveled with. If we had groups that came to Rolette County.
That's what Wanda was pointing out. She pointed out
there was a group that came over from Otter Tail around Pelican Fall or Pelican Rapids. No, what is it?
Yeah,
Pelican Rapids.
Otter Tail County. Yeah, there was a large group that came, a caravan of covered wagons, that made the trek together. I think that's interesting to know, who.
Very good.
Who did they know? And that explains part of the motivation why they went where they went, because they were with people they knew.
Let's get some input from others here. Other people, as you're thinking about what are the kinds of information that our immigrants had that would be worthwhile to explore as you're thinking about the presentation for your own family or listening to others. Other thoughts?
So Paul?
Yeah.
So
Peter?
in my home in Willow City, I was required to do a title search on our farm because I was signing up for some government programs. And so when I got that title search done, it's all printed out from the day the government owned the property, who first acquired it, every change of ownership, any loan that had ever been made, how they were when it was repaid, and pretty interesting. So I never did that on the Hosted farm. But, if somebody really wanted to see all the activity and ownership of that particular farm, it's all there if you do a title search. I don't think they call it a title search, but in North Dakota, it's called something else, but.
Approximately how much does that cost to have one of those done? If
I
it's-
don't remember, not that much, but I mean, it's an amazing document. Starts out with the government owning the property and who settled, who got the 160 acres who settled on that and got free claim. And everybody that owned it ever since, every debt that was ever on that property. And and so I had to prove that we had clear title to the land, and that's what that did, so.
What you're talking about is what's called a chain of title.
Well, in Oregon, we call them a title search, but in North Dakota, they call it something else. But it's basically a recap of all the liens, all the claims ever on that property, and that if there's any remaining claims or ownership.
Thank you. Thank you much. Other thoughts about stuff? Anybody have any written down stories that their grandparents or great grandparents wrote? Any of you know of any of those?
Jeff's trying to say something.
Something.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Am I on?
Yeah.
I just want to say I dropped in the chat, I dropped the reunion website. You can go there. If you haven't got a login, you can get one. It's very simple, straightforward. You can download all kinds of documents, including the genealogy book that Paul had spearheaded back in the 80s.
Jeff is making a very important point. Jeff, we have this website and it's not very lightly used. It's all there, but people are not turning to it. And it's all you have to do is just become a member, which is simple, and it's all waiting for you there. So.
Yeah, it's very easy.
Yes, right.
We designed it specifically that way.
We might as well give thanks at this moment to the folks who were part of that in putting that together. Let's see if they're on the call here right now. I don't see them. But anyway, we have very, very beneficial. What's the name of the gentleman again, Mike, there, Jeff, that prepared that site?
It's Carolyn and Joe's son, whose name.
Okay. All right. Anyway,
Paul?
He moved to Dallas recently.
Yeah, okay. Yes. Somebody else had just said one.
Paul,
yes.
In regard to property again, you mentioned the land patents, which, are easy to get at online. But then FamilySearch.org has the BLM, Bureau of Land Management, tract books, images of the original tract books. And if it takes a few maneuvers to get to the correct tract book to look at, but if you find, the coordinates for your township that your people lived in, you can locate the tract book that is relevant, and then you can scan through that, and you can possibly find that their name is listed there with the date that they made the original claim. And that's pretty interesting to have that document,
Yes.
and acquire a copy of the real thing.
And FamilySearch.org has that readily, can get it right there from them for free. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah, good. Okay. Additional, I was going to just say that in terms of things that people did, my dad wrote stories about his mother and father. They weren't overly detailed, but they were very helpful. And it's possible that if you ask your aunts and uncles if they know of something like that, that they can share that with us about their family. Other thoughts?
Yeah, Paul?
Now, go ahead. Who said, yeah, just Jeff.
Jeff here. You hear me?
Go ahead, yes.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest, if we have an hour nominally for the presentations, I think if people make their slide deck about 20 or around 20 slides would do it, because I anticipate there's going to be a lot of discussion. And I think that's a reasonable number. I would not err on the side of creating a 60 page slide deck. I think it'll be very hard to get through in a timely manner.
I think what Jeff is saying is you don't want to have every child and grandchild picture, but I'm nervous, Jeff, about being hard-nosed in that area. If
I
somebody-
wouldn't be hard-nosed, but you know, I think even a group like this, people will drop off.
Right, okay. Jeff is saying, let's keep it down to around 20 slides if you use that. Not everybody's going to do that. I think Wanda's going to use a different approach. Yeah, okay. Other comments about things that are important. We have one person left who is a son of the pioneers, and that's Kenneth Tosted, who's what is Kenneth now, Wanda? Is he 98?
Yes.
98 years old. He'll be 100 on when the reunion is held, but there are lots of the people who are of the next generation still alive, and they will have stuff to share if you ask them for that. I'd like to see if any of you here representing the other families that are present, if any of you wants to suggest a date when you would like to have your presentation. Bernie or Sharon, do you have an idea yet when you would like to have the Bakken family featured?
No, I'll visit with Bernie and we can let you know.
Okay, you'll let us know. Okay, that's
Okay.
good.
How
Okay,
will that work, Bernie?
Sure. Yeah, we'll talk.
okay.
Okay.
Candace, you the whole matter of the Fiskichin clan is going to be fascinating because that's going to be well, I hate to say starting back another generation, but that's really what it is. So that becomes very good background for the subsequent ones that are discussed. So I don't know how soon you'd like to have a discussion of the Fiskichin group. You can think about that.
Yeah, I think because it almost, I mean, I could do the overall of that generation with all the children that
Yeah.
you were talking about, descendants, but I don't know that my grandmother and her sisters who came to this country would really be of interest to the group because it's a whole different segment, but I could do something that was outlining where all these people came from. And
yes and no. The interesting thing about that is that Britta came to one part of North Dakota, and her sister came to another part of Wisconsin, and her nieces or whoever that came to another part of North Dakota, and she didn't know them. We don't know that they didn't know them. So anyway, think about that. Kurt, have you any idea what you thought like to think about having Thorson, the Torstein family?
Yeah, I know we had talked, Paul, about piggybacking with another family, and I don't know if anything's.
Yeah. In fact, let me see if Catherine, are you on still? Are you driving? Catherine and Jane Clements were the ones that would be close, and they, I haven't heard they might have gotten off by now.
Yeah, and that's fine to do it that way. I don't know that I have 20 slides. It's not
Well,
that.
I think we got to be careful about that because I don't care if
Right.
you have any slides.
I could see ours, or what I've thought about anyway, being around 10 slides and just kind of going, because it isn't as broad as many of the others is. So I don't have it all together yet, Paul. I need to get out to the farm and do some digging and get the pictures. But certainly, if we're already out to May, I certainly should be able to do it sometime after that.
Okay.
And I'll just make
Let
sure.
us know anytime. Let us know anytime.
Yeah.
Are any Martinettis still on about the Moen family? Anybody from Martinetti still with us? Carolyn or Joe? They might have gotten off. Don, have you any thoughts about Torvald and Ragna as to when you'd be like to discuss that?
Let me look into that and do some studying and see if I
Okay.
can pull something off.
Very good, very good. And each of us be thinking about when we'd like to do that. Peter, in terms of the Paul Tosted family, be thinking about when that might be appropriate. And I'll be thinking about the Enoch Gilgee thing, of course. Other thoughts that you have, any of you today, that important to share with the rest of us?
Paul,
Hello,
I
Paul.
was
Hello,
wondering, Paul,
Yes.
I was wondering about the Tosted family, you know, the Vrems, VREMs in.
Oh, yes, Vrems, that's Peter Gilgee and Peter and
Edna was,
Edna Vem, yes. And we have two important contacts there. They aren't with us today, but we've got to get them included because that's a very important connection to the
I think
Balkans.
I really don't know much about Sean anymore, but Sean is still, I think, one of the ancestors that lives around.
John who?
Sean, S-H-A.
Sean Vrem, yes. Sean is still alive, yes. And I haven't chatted with him much. His daughter, Sherry, works in the bank at Rolette. And she's the one, she had said she was going to be on today and she hasn't shown up. Sherry got
If you have some contact with me that I could share, you know, I'd like to be able to get in touch with her.
Oh, okay. If I can remember, I'll get that sent to you. In fact, let me expand this question here. I would be more than happy to share any kind of list that I could with you that would be helpful in the whole process. We are most open to that. If we have people that we know of that are in your family and you don't know about them, we want you to be able to get access to that.
Well, I would like that because I was just a small child when my grandparents were gone long ago, and my mother, you know, she didn't have much. She would mention names, but she didn't. They only made contact with those that were basically local and in Minnesota, you know. But yeah, that would be very important to me if I could get some of that information.
Sharon, I'll send you all the email addresses I have for the TK Bakken group.
That'd be wonderful.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
I think Bernie, I think you have them too, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll check, but if I don't have them, I'll let you know.
Okay, I'll try and get that just this afternoon. All right. Other comments?
Hello, Paul.
Pardon? Yeah,
Hello.
Terria. Hi, Terria.
Yes, I'm thinking a little bit about the information about how it was in the homestead and how it was when they came to America.
Yeah.
I have read an interview with Knut Moen for a long time ago.
Oh yes, right.
That tells a long story about how it was in Norway and how it was when they came to the United States.
Yes, I have heard about that. Is that in written form or is it on video? Is it video?
I have it on a PDF file.
Oh, you have a PDF file?
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Make sure that's part of your discussion. That would be very helpful.
That's a very interesting reading. It's about I think it was 30 or 40 sites.
Yes. I interviewed Knut as well in 1976. And I don't know if it's I haven't listened to it for a long time. I don't know if it's going to be worthwhile, but during the reunion in 1976, we had him come up to the front and we talked about the life in the early times. So, but if you can get that, Terry, that will be most helpful. Thank you.
I think I got it from you, but I'm not sure.
Well, and then maybe it might be what I have. That's possible. We're probably talking about the same interview, but I'm not sure of that. I think that Joe and Carolyn will be able to point us to something else, because somebody else featured Knud Mohn a long time ago because of his activity, and it's a different one. So there may be plenty there. So anyway, make sure we get that.
Yeah, I can send it to Mike.
Sure.
Yeah.
Arna Estebo, you're still muted. Do you have anything to say, Arna?
Yeah. I met Knud Mohen's wife, Ingeborg, in 1987.
Oh, you did?
It was very interesting to hear the old Gilead dialect.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, she has kept it as it was.
Oh, isn't that good? So you met her in 1987.
Yeah.
That's when you brought your boys to America with your wife.
That's right.
And you went out to see Alec and Stanley at the Gilead farm.
Yeah. We have a big party in the park of Roulette.
Yes.
It's a great time.
Okay, terrific. One subject, Arna and Terje, given the fact you're from Norway here, I've been wondering about how we draw attention to the brothers and sisters of the immigrants who didn't go, who stayed in Norway. If there are stories there about their contacts back and forth. I know Enoch, my grandfather, wrote letters to his brother regularly about what's going on in America. And his brother was quite interested in that, Sven. So there's always been lots of contact. Another one, Moritz Gilje from Iowa, very, very spiritual man, wrote long letters about his faith to the people back in Norway. And we have copies of those. So there's stuff there that we need to have as well. Well, I think we've got a good start here today. I really thank you, Wanda, for stepping forward. I thank you, Mike Oyseth, for stepping forward to help out. Jeff Epping for planning for March, and then for the Beavers in May. I think we're off to an excellent start for the next 4 months, February, March, April, and May. We should be going far. I see Candace has a question. Candace?
Yes, would you mind identifying the two gentlemen from Norway and where they live?
Yes, we'll let them
You have a good map.
Tell us who you are, Arna.
Baby.
Yeah. I think you pointed out on the picture you had.
Yes, I did. Arna is a Gilje, and so he is on the Gilje side, and my mother's mother was on the your side of the family. So she was a different side of the family from yours, Candace. She was on the Tosted side, which is my mother's side, and Arna is on the Gilje side, is my father's side. That's the difference.
Okay. And you're near Stavanger.
Terje is also on my father's side from Gilje.
And now I think there is more farms in Roulette with the name Gilead than there are at Gilead. As I saw on the map, yeah.
Yeah, I wish that were the case, Arna. But you know, when we're looking for it today, you have Steve Gilje and his mother and Lilas Gilje who's your cousin Jeff that's still there? Dwight Gilje, yes, Dwight Gilje. There's not very many. I'm quite surprised.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was an old map, yes.
Of course, we got the Myries, and there are people got other family names. Yeah. All right. Other comments, questions about anything?
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah.
I have one. I just thought of the fact that in my research on the 1885 and 1900 residents of Rolette, I found some cases where people returned to Norway to live. They were here, they stayed for a while, and they went back to Norway to their homes. I was wondering if any of you are aware of members of your extended families that did that.
Yes, we are. In fact, Tor Gilje was homesteaded, and Tor went back to Norway, and he homesteaded right up across the road from Lars. So Tor was Anne's brother, and Lars's brother. Tor was Lars and Anne's brother, and he came for a while and then went back around 1910. Very good point.
Rasmus and Magnus Tosted did too.
Oh, that's right. Who were the Tosted ones, Wanda, that went back?
Rasmus and Magnus.
That's right. That's right.
And
My
also Peter
grandfather.
and Tore Kviderland.
So that's another thing we need to make sure we mention, and the connections is the back and forth nature and those people that came and went. Right.
There were a number of men that went back and found wives too, and then they brought them back and lived in Rolette.
Yeah.
They were here in Rolette first, and then they went back to Norway to find a wife.
Jeff, isn't that
That was my grandfather did that.
That's I thought.
Interesting.
Very clear there. Yeah, Lars went back and picked up Christina and brought her back to America with him.
Yeah. Well, in the later period of emigration, the travel was much more safe and convenient and comfortable.
And they didn't have TSA.
That's right. And they
Some
didn't
of-
have doors falling off Boeing
Yeah.
planes either.
Some of you who haven't chosen to speak today, please don't hesitate to contact any of us via email or otherwise to share some thoughts you might have that you just didn't bring up today, or things that occur to you. I think that'll be very helpful. But we'll start with announcing that Wanda is going to present the Andrew and Anna Tosted family next February on the third Saturday in February. We'll send the notice out. Thank you so much. Any further things that need to be brought to our attention today? I'll get the recording out as quickly as I can.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
This has been great.
Thanks,
Okay.
Paul.
Okay, we'll see you all. Thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Mike.
Nielsen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.